All right, nearly there. Day 4, module 9. Today will be infinitely easier than the last module. Now, if you're still coming to terms with last module, that's okay. You're not alone. You truly aren't. I really hope that this hasn't really swayed you off. Today will change everything. Put you back on a path of pure happiness, I hope. This is a really important day, though, because I'm going to teach you a couple of different ways to play these chords that will be super beneficial when we get into bar chords. So without mucking around, this is the next chord, A minor. Looks like that. Now you might be thinking, hey, this kind of looks like an E major. Well, you're totally right. If you remember the E major, just plain old E, you know, all you're doing is shifting it down one set of strings. Now A major, or E major, sorry, to an A minor. Kind of got that sad sound about it. Right. So how to play it? You really don't want to play the low E in it. That's kind of what they don't want you to do. Really, does it sound much different? Not really. Not in my ears. I mean, you got that low note, but they're just trying to get rid of that low note. It's just the way things are. Okay, so to play this, so you got second finger on the second fret of the D, your third finger, second fret of the G, and your first finger on the first fret of the B string. Like this. Not bad? Right, another way to play these, and I didn't tell you in day 1, but you can also do it with the E and the E minor chord, is instead of using those 3 fingers, you throw your pinky in and have your first finger floating about solo. So to do that, put your third finger on the second fret of the D, your pinky finger, your fourth finger on the second fret of the G, and your second finger on the first fret of the B. Still sounds the same, but it will come in really handy when we start playing bar chords. Try both ways. With your first finger, and then that way too. Same goes with the E major. Still sounds the same. But when we do our bar chords, using your fingers, or putting your fingers like that, is super handy to get in the habit of. Also with the E minor chord, do the same thing. But in generally speaking, just do it, you know, normal way. Right, so A minor. Once again, go through, tips of the fingers, thumb at the back, plucking each string at once just to make sure that we're not hitting anything that we shouldn't, or we're getting everything in the way that it should do, where we don't have a string out of holy, wow, that doesn't sound right. That's what it should sound like. Cool? Right. Alrighty, so starting now with an A minor. So it's like an E, but you throw it down here. All we're doing is we're moving down one set of strings, kind of like we did with the C, G7 and the C. So second finger on the second fret of the D, third finger on the second fret of the G, and your first finger on the first fret of the B. Now the way you hold it is very similar again to the way you do an E major chord. So the way that your thumb sits, the way that your wrist sits, it's all the same. As I've also shown you as well, there is a different way of doing this, and all we're doing is replacing these 3 fingers with these 3 fingers. So you're adding your pinky into it. Now this is in preparation of bar chords. So also now when you start doing your practice, please try to start doing this, because this will come in very handy. You'll already have that sensation and get your thumb in the right place, which will really help you do your bar chords. So that's first position style, and this is the bar chord style. Notice that the wrist is in exactly the same position. The fingertips are still doing the same. It's just this index finger, number 1 finger, is just out of the way. If you put it behind the neck, or behind the nut, sorry, it'll be fine. But if you put it on the nut, and it's going to sort of mute everything out. So get your third finger on the second fret of the D, your pinky on the second fret of the G, and your second finger on the first fret of the B. Cool. Give that a bash. Remember, like I said, still keep your wrist in the same position as you would if you were doing it in the first position technique. And if you go to that, it's all the same stuff. You're just using different fingers. A major looks like this. This is also another very handy way of remembering things when you do bar chords. So bar chords, you want to use as minimal kind of movement as I guess you can and make it easier on yourself. But I'll show you this in a sec. To play a major chord, instead of your first finger on the B string, you're putting your pinky finger on the second fret of the B string. So, second finger on the second fret of the D, third finger on the second fret of the G, and your pinky finger on the second fret of the B string, which is the C sharp note. Sweet? Right, whole bunch of fingers all cramped up in one spot. That's okay. I did say don't put it all the way down the end there, but hey, sometimes these things are inevitable. Right? Just squeeze them up as tightly as you can, or, if you're getting real adventurous, get your third finger and lay it flat. And you're basically putting a lot of pressure on that joint to get that in there. Now, again, as I said, that'll come in handy when we're doing bar chords. You can try it. It's not recommended because you're putting a whole lot of pressure. When you're doing the bar chord, you're sort of playing off against each other when you're doing that. But for now, use all your three fingers there. Okay, A. All bunched up, squeezed up in there. Second finger, second fret of the D, third finger, second fret of the G, pinky finger, second fret of the B. Now, why don't I do it like this, you say? Well, that just, it's kind of not, it's uncomfortable. It's just bizarre. I don't do it like that at all. And they're all sort of squeezed in there like that. Because if you're doing that, you're using a different set of ligaments, and your wrist doesn't doesn't really feel that natural. So go with that way, all bunched up nice and tight. Now notice that I've always said, you know, within about a half to 3/4, but this one's all the way down the end. There's not much more you can do about that unless you do this. And doing that isn't the greatest way to do it. If you're going to do that, you might as well just take your thumb off the back, because you're just pulling your arm in rather than push against your thumb. And that way also is good for when you do bar chords. It's pretty well the only way that you can do it, unless you've got great reach and you've got the stamina in your hands to do it like that. Putting your whole finger across is just a much more efficient way to do things. So when you did your E major, A minor, your wrist position's pretty well the same. And just watch the wrist sort of move out towards the headstock a little. And same as the B7, because you're using that pinky finger, so you really want to get that extra leverage in there for your A major. Great. Now, I told you that today was not going to be as hectic as module 8, and that's the mean day. I'm sorry about that. So we're going to do a 2-finger chord, one of my favourite chords, called the A7th. Once again, nice bit of tension. So you've got your 3 fingers here on the A major. This is what A7 looks like. You guessed it, you just remove one of your fingers out of the way. So instead of just lifting up your 3rd finger, that just sort of feels weird. All you do is you remove your 3rd and your 4th finger from the 2nd frets, and you just put your 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the B. Just like that. Another way you could do it is put your pinky finger on the 3rd fret of the high E. Does it make any difference? Not necessarily. So just do that. So we got A minor to A major to A7th. A7. So that's your A major. A7 is almost as simple as the E minor, as far as I'm concerned. I like the sound of it too. Quite simply, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the D, and your 3rd finger on the 2nd fret of the B. That's it. The trick with this one is to make sure that your fingers are out of the way and you're using your fingertips, so that way you're not getting that G string. That's integral to the sound of the A7. And also the other way is you put your little pinky on your 3rd finger, 3rd fret of the high E, like that. One other way that we can do this as well is with your third finger and your pinky finger. Yeah? Again, in preparation for bar chords. Now you could do this, but it really is not comfortable at all. You've got to get, and when we get onto bar chords, you've got to go 2 frets above, and that can be really, really difficult. So try with the 3rd and the 4th. The first position is just like that. And also, add your pinky finger in there if you feel like it too. That's all I've got on A7s. Should be relatively straightforward, very similar to the E day 1 stuff. Have fun practicing. So now we're going to go back to our original practice plan, which is going through the strings up to the 5th fret and down again, doing that twice. Obviously changing strings up every day, giving ourselves a good wrist exercise, making sure we're all in tune. Thumb at the back, fingertips was what we're using, and we're going to go through each of these 3 chords. A minor. You should be getting used to this type of thing now. And what we're going to do is go back down again, so starting to the C. And we're trying to get our transitions as quick as we can. Forget about day 3 just for now. Work on the A minor, to the G, to G7 and C, to all of the E's, and then back up again. Switch them all around as we've gone through, and do at least about 45 minutes to an hour on this type of practice. And then, at the very end of your practice, when you're feeling super confident, you're getting comfy, throw in one of those challenging chords. And just throw it in the center, or throw it in between each of the days that we've already covered. Right, you're going to make huge gains today, super fast progress. Get onto the practice. As I've mentioned, practice, practice, practice. You have to do it every day. Even in, like, if you can't do it because you've got kids, or you've got homework, or you've got a job to go to, just get in as 10 minutes here, 20 minutes there, whatever you can get in, make the most of it, and make it work for you. So get on the practice plans, get into these ones. We're nearly there, right over the edge. We're just about to finish up. At the end of this next day, day 5, you'll go on through and you will have learned 15 chords in less than a week, if you've done one day after the other, or you've done 15 chords in probably about 15 days. It's a chord a day, which is way quicker than I think anybody else usually teaches, and you're getting the transitions and the practice plan to put it all into practice, so then we can start learning songs. Get onto the practice, have a great one. I hope you got a little bit more enjoyment out of today than you did with the last module. Get ready for the final day, day 5, module 10. I believe in you.